My parents faked my death to steal my inheritance. Now the estate is mine, and I won't give them a cent. I was 42, working 2 jobs to keep my apartment, when a lawyer called saying he'd been trying to find me for 3 weeks. My maternal grandmother had died last month. She'd left everything to me. I told him there was a mistake. My grandmother died when I was 15. He went quiet, asked me to repeat that. She died in a car accident, March of 1998. I went to the funeral. He said that was impossible. He'd just settled her estate. She died of pneumonia at 87 in a care facility in Oregon. Had I been estranged from her? No, she was dead. I was 15. I remembered the funeral. I remembered my mother crying. I remembered the closed casket because the accident was so bad. The lawyer asked me to come to his office, said there were things I needed to see. The trust was set up in 1983, the year I was born. $2.7 million, set to transfer to me when I turned 25. My grandmother wanted me to have security, education, choices she never had. Then the lawyer showed me the death certificate my parents submitted to her in 1998. My name, my birthday, car accident, instant death. There was an obituary, a funeral program, photos of a grave with my name on it. My grandmother believed I was dead for 2 years. Then she hired an investigator who found me very much alive. Enrolled at a state college 3 hours from where I grew up. She tried to contact me. The lawyer had copies of everything. Letters were sent to my dorm. 43 of them over 2 years. All returned marked addressee unknown. She tried calling the school. They had no record of her ever being cleared to contact me. My parents had called the registrar when I enrolled and said my grandmother was dangerous, that there was a restraining order, and that I was terrified of her. There was a restraining order. Meanwhile, my parents told me she died and left everything to a caretaker who'd manipulated her in her final years. Said the will was being contested, but we'd likely get nothing. I believed them. I grieved her. I put flowers on that fake grave every year on the anniversary. Bank records going back to when I was 23. My parents took out loans in my name, destroyed my credit for years. I spent my 20s trying to understand why I kept getting denied for credit cards, why my loan applications failed, and why I couldn't rent a decent apartment. The lawyer explained they'd planned to pay everything back with my inheritance when I turned 25. When they couldn't access the trust because I was legally dead, they just let me carry the debt, let me struggle, let me work multiple jobs, wondering what I'd done wrong with my finances. Text messages between my mother and my aunt from 1997. My aunt asked why they were cutting grandma off so completely. My mother wrote back, she threatened to remove us from the will entirely if we don't let her see Nora more. We're handling it. They chose potential inheritance over me having a grandmother. Then they chose hiding their crime over giving me the inheritance that was actually mine. I drove to their house, didn't call first. My mother cried immediately. My grandmother was toxic and manipulative, said she'd tried to turn me against them my whole childhood, said they protected me. My father was calmer, more honest. He said the trust was originally supposed to go to my mother as the eldest child. When my grandmother changed it to skip a generation to me, they felt robbed. They'd spent their whole lives expecting that money, made financial decisions based on eventually receiving it, bought a house they couldn't afford, took vacations they couldn't pay for. When my grandmother threatened to cut them off entirely, they panicked. Faking my death seemed like the only way to protect what they saw as rightfully theirs. We would have told you eventually, my mother said. Once we figured out how to access it properly, we just never figured it out. They let me struggle for 17 years, let me work myself sick, let me wonder why life was so hard when I was doing everything right. They knew I had millions waiting. They knew, and they let me suffer, because they'd reported me dead and couldn't undo it without admitting what they'd done. The estate was worth $1 million now. The lawyer handed me the last letter my grandmother wrote. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I never got to see the person you became. I never got to meet your children, if you had them. Your parents stole every birthday, every holiday, every moment we could have had together. I hope this money helps you, but I would have traded all of it for one more day with you. We both lost each other because my parents chose money they never even got. My mother called last week, said I needed to be reasonable, that the inheritance would have been theirs anyway if grandma hadn't been manipulated into changing her will. Said I should split it with them. It's only fair. My father left a voicemail, said I was being selfish. That family takes care of family.